In a significant legal development, a federal judge has temporarily blocked the Trump administration's sweeping freeze on federal grants and loans. This decision came as a relief to many organizations and individuals who rely on these funds for essential services and programs. The freeze, which was set to take effect on Tuesday evening, was met with immediate legal challenges and widespread criticism. The Trump administration argued that the freeze was necessary to ensure that federal spending aligned with the president's priorities. However, critics argue that the move was an overreach of executive power and would have had dire consequences for vulnerable communities. This temporary halt will give everyone a chance to take a breath and figure out what the hell is going on. The Trump administration's decision to freeze federal grants and loans stemmed from a desire to overhaul federal spending and redirect funds towards conservative priorities. The administration argued that the move was necessary to eliminate what they deemed as wasteful and ideologically driven programs. This included efforts to reduce regulations, cut taxes, and promote a conservative social agenda. However, critics viewed the freeze as an attempt to impose a narrow ideological agenda on the country. They pointed to the administration's targeting of programs related to climate change, social justice, and reproductive rights as evidence of this. The freeze was also seen as part of a broader assault on the social safety net, which many Americans rely on for essential services. The freeze on federal grants and loans caused widespread confusion and anxiety among states, organizations, and individuals who depend on these funds. Many organizations relying on federal grants for their operations face the prospect of service disruptions or even closures. Nonprofits working with vulnerable communities, educational institutions, and research organizations all expressed concerns about the potential impact of the freeze. The uncertainty surrounding the freeze also had a chilling effect on new grant applications, potentially hindering innovation and progress in various fields. Programs like Meals on Wheels, which delivers food to homebound seniors, and Head Start, which provides early childhood education to low-income children, were among those facing potential cuts or delays. The disruption to these vital programs could have had a devastating impact on the lives of vulnerable individuals and families. Section 4. Legal challenges and political backlash. The Trump administration's freeze on federal grants and loans faced immediate legal challenges and a fierce political backlash. Critics argued that the move was unconstitutional, as it bypassed Congress's power of the purse. Several lawsuits were filed, challenging the legality of the freeze and seeking to overturn it. Opponents of the freeze argued that it was a blatant attempt to circumvent the legislative process and impose the president's will on the country. They pointed to the lack of congressional approval or oversight for the freeze as evidence of executive overreach. The lawsuits argued that the freeze violated the separation of powers and undermined the rule of law. The freeze further deepened the partisan divide in the country, fueling anger and distrust towards the administration. Section 5. A broader context. Trump's recent actions. The freeze on federal grants and loans did not occur in isolation, but was part of a series of controversial actions taken by the Trump administration. These actions, often seen as part of a broader conservative agenda, sparked widespread debate and protests across the country. One of the most contentious moves was the ban on transgender individuals serving in the military. This policy, implemented through a series of tweets and memos, reversed previous Obama-era guidelines and drew condemnation from human rights groups and LGBTQ+ advocates. Another controversial action was the pardon of individuals convicted of crimes related to the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. These pardons, granted to individuals who had pleaded guilty or been convicted of serious offenses, were widely criticized as an affront to the rule of law and an attempt to whitewash a dark chapter in American history. Critics argued that the pardons undermined faith in the justice system and sent a dangerous message that political violence would be tolerated. The Trump administration's actions sparked a national conversation about the balance of power, the role of the judiciary, and the future of American democracy. Section 6. A temporary reprieve, the judge's ruling. The federal judge's decision to temporarily block the freeze on federal grants and loans offered a glimmer of hope to those who feared the consequences of the administration's actions. This ruling, even though temporary, provided a much-needed reprieve and a chance to challenge the freeze in court. The judge's ruling was based on the argument that the Trump administration had overstepped its authority by implementing the freeze without congressional approval. The judge found that the administration's actions violated the separation of powers enshrined in the U.S. Constitution. The temporary halt on the freeze gave organizations and individuals who rely on federal funding a chance to breathe a sigh of relief. The ruling also sent a message to the Trump administration that its actions would be subject to judicial scrutiny. Section 7. Future uncertain. A nation on hold. While the federal judge's decision to halt the freeze on federal grants and loans provided a temporary reprieve, it did not resolve the underlying issues that led to this situation. The future of federal funding for numerous programs and services remained uncertain, leaving many organizations and individuals in a state of limbo. The legal battle over the freeze was far from over. The Trump administration could appeal the judge's ruling to a higher court, potentially dragging the case out for months or even years. The outcome of this legal battle would have far-reaching consequences for the balance of power between the executive and judicial branches of government. The freeze on federal grants and loans, even though temporarily halted, exposed the deep division within American society and the challenges facing the country. It highlighted the fragility of the social safety net and the vulnerability of those who rely on government assistance. Hey everyone, it's Marks here. Today, we're diving into Samsung's latest deal for iPhone users. If you're thinking about switching to the Galaxy S25, you're in the right place. There's a lot to unpack here, from trade-in values to exclusive features and the ecosystem switch. We're going to break it all down, give you the key facts, and help you decide if making the move is right for you. Alright, let's kick things off with the trade-in value. Samsung is known for having pretty aggressive trade-in programs, and this time around is no different. They're really trying to make it easier for iPhone users to make the switch without totally breaking the bank. Now, the exact amount you'll get for your iPhone is going to depend on a few factors. The model you have, its condition, and even the storage capacity. Obviously, a newer iPhone in pristine condition with max storage is going to get you the most bang for your buck. We're talking potentially hundreds of dollars off the price of a brand new Galaxy S25. But even if you're rocking an older iPhone, like maybe an iPhone 11 or even an XS, don't write it off just yet. Samsung might still offer you a decent trade-in value, which can really help sweeten the deal. They've been known to offer trade-in credits even on devices with minor cosmetic damage, which is pretty cool. Now, I always recommend checking Samsung's website or visiting a carrier store to get the most up-to-date trade-in value. They tend to fluctuate a bit based on market demand and other factors. Don't just assume you know what your phone's worth. Do your research and see how much you can potentially save. Okay, so you're thinking about making the switch from iPhone to the Galaxy S25. Well, let's talk about what you're getting into. Specifically, all the cool and exclusive features that Samsung brings to the table. Because let's be honest, sometimes it's the little or not so little things that make all the difference. First up, the camera. Samsung is really pushing the boundaries here with their latest Galaxy S25. We're talking a massive 200 megapixel sensor. That's right, 200 megapixels. This thing is a beast when it comes to capturing detail and resolution. And for those of you who love that portrait mode look, the Galaxy S25's got some serious bokeh game. But it's not just about megapixels. Samsung's also packed in some impressive software features like their single take mode, which captures photos and videos from different lenses simultaneously, and their enhanced night mode, which lets you take stunning low-light shots. Next, let's talk display. The Galaxy S25 rocks a dynamic AMOLED 2X display with a super smooth 120 HD refresh rate. This means everything from scrolling through your social feeds to gaming is going to look incredibly fluid and responsive. And the colors, man, the colors are just vibrant and punchy. Samsung's also known for its long battery life, and the Galaxy S25 doesn't disappoint. They've managed to squeeze in a larger battery while still keeping the phone relatively slim and comfortable to hold. Then there's the S Pen. This has always been a signature Galaxy feature, and it's back and better than ever on the S25. It's more responsive, more precise, and it opens up a world of creative possibilities. Take notes, sketch, even control your phone remotely. The S Pen is like having a magic wand at your fingertips. And let's not forget about Samsung DeX. This is a game changer for productivity. It lets you connect your Galaxy S25 to an external monitor, keyboard, and mouse, essentially turning it into a desktop computer. These are just a few of the exclusive features that set the Galaxy S25 apart from the iPhone. Of course, whether these features are important to you or not depends on your individual needs and preferences. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. Switching from an iPhone to a Galaxy S25 means switching from Apple's iOS ecosystem to Google's Android ecosystem. And while both operating systems are incredibly capable and user-friendly, there are some key differences to consider before making the move. First off, Android is all about customization. You can personalize pretty much every aspect of your phone, from the home screen widgets to the notification sounds. You can even install third-party launchers to completely overhaul the look and feel of your phone. Then there's the Google integration. If you're already heavily invested in Google's suite of apps and services like Gmail, Google Maps, Google Photos, then Android is going to feel like a natural fit. But one of the biggest concerns people have when switching ecosystems is app compatibility, and it's a valid concern. While most popular apps are available on both iOS and Android, there might be some niche apps or games that you use regularly that aren't available on Android or might have a different feature set. The good news is that app developers have gotten really good at creating cross-platform experiences, so even if an app you love is available on both platforms, it's likely to look and function very similarly. Another thing to consider is data transfer. Switching from an iPhone to an Android used to be a bit of a headache, but these days it's gotten a lot easier. Samsung has its own Smart Switch app that can help you transfer your contacts, photos, messages, and other data wirelessly from your iPhone to your new Galaxy S25. It's also worth noting that there are some fundamental differences in the way iOS and Android handle notifications, settings, and file management. Android gives you a lot more freedom and control, but it can also be a bit overwhelming at first, especially if you're used to the simplicity and walled garden approach of iOS. Don't worry though, there are tons of resources available online, like tutorials and forums, to help you get up to speed with Android. And once you get the hang of it, you'll appreciate the flexibility and power that Android offers. Ultimately, the best way to know if you'll be comfortable with the switch is to actually try out an Android phone. Head down to your local carrier store or electronics retailer and spend some time playing around with a Galaxy S25. Remember, it's all about finding the ecosystem that best suits your needs and preferences. Alright, let's talk about the perks, the bonuses, the freebies, because who doesn't love a good deal? Samsung's known for offering some pretty sweet promotions, especially for early adopters of their flagship phones. And the Galaxy S25 is no exception. First up, let's talk about pre-order bonuses. If you decide to take the plunge and pre-order the Galaxy S25, you might be eligible for some pretty awesome freebies. We're talking things like free Galaxy Buds, Samsung Care Plus coverage, or even store credit that you can use to grab some accessories or other goodies. But even if you miss the pre-order window, don't worry. Samsung often runs promotions throughout the year, so keep an eye out for deals on carrier websites, retailers like Best Buy, Amazon, or even directly from Samsung's website. One of the most common promotions you'll see is bundled deals. This is where Samsung partners with carriers or retailers to offer the Galaxy S25 along with other products at a discounted price. For example, you might see a deal where you can get a Galaxy S25 with a free Galaxy Watch or a discounted Galaxy Tab S8. Another thing to look out for is trade-in bonuses. We already talked about Samsung's trade-in program, but sometimes they'll offer an additional bonus on top of the trade-in value if you're switching from a specific phone, like an iPhone. And then there are the carrier-specific promotions. Carriers like Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile often have their own deals and incentives for switching to a new phone or plan. So it's always a good idea to check with your carrier to see what they're offering. Pro tip: sign up for Samsung's email newsletter and follow them on social media. That way, you'll be the first to know about any upcoming deals or promotions. Remember, these promotions can change pretty frequently, so it's always a good idea to do your research and compare offers before making a decision. Don't be afraid to shop around and see who's giving you the best deal, because at the end of the day, saving money is always a good thing, right? Alright, so we've talked about the specs, the features, the ecosystem, but what are actual users saying about the Galaxy S25? Well, early reviews are in, and for the most part, it's looking pretty positive. One of the things people are raving about is the camera. The 200 megapixel sensor is definitely living up to the hype, delivering incredible detail and clarity in photos, and the low light performance is seriously impressive. The display is another major highlight. That 120Hz refresh rate makes everything feel buttery smooth, and the colors just pop. Whether you're scrolling through social media, watching videos, or gaming, the Galaxy S25's display is a real treat for the eyes. Battery life is also getting a big thumbs up. People are reporting that they're easily getting a full day of use on a single charge, even with heavy usage. And when you do need to juice up, the fast charging capabilities mean you won't be tethered to the wall for long. The S Pen is, as always, a fan favorite. It's more responsive than ever, and the added software features make it an even more versatile tool for productivity and creativity. Of course, no phone is perfect, and the Galaxy S25 does have a few minor drawbacks that some users have pointed out. Some folks find the phone to be a bit on the large side, especially those with smaller hands. And while the software has come a long way, there are still some who prefer the simplicity and polish of iOS. But overall, the consensus seems to be that the Galaxy S25 is a solid phone that offers a compelling combination of features, performance, and design. It's a worthy contender in the flagship phone market, and if you're considering making the switch from an iPhone, it's definitely worth checking out. Of course, user reviews are subjective. What works for one person might not work for another. My advice, don't just take my word for it, or anyone else's for that. Head down to a store, get some hands-on time with the Galaxy S25, and see for yourself if it lives up to the hype. So, there you have it, folks. Those are the key facts you need to know before switching from an iPhone to the Galaxy S25. Ultimately, the decision comes down to your individual needs, preferences, and budget. If you're looking for a phone with a phenomenal camera, a stunning display, long battery life, and a bunch of cool features, the Galaxy S25 is definitely worth considering. And with Samsung's aggressive trade-in program and special promotions, it could be a more affordable switch than you think. But hey, no pressure. Whatever you decide, I hope this video helped you make a more informed decision. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like,